I let my trauma define me for probably 24 years.
Meet Andrew Jenkins. Some of you will know him from the Traitors UK Season 2 finalist. But what most people don't know is that he was pronounced dead at 21 after a devastating car crash.
I don't want to do it. I'm an honest person, good values and morals. I don't want to manipulate people, twist things and that, but I lost my self-worth, my confidence. Failure, I thought failure was a bad thing growing up. And if you've got emotion in your body, especially if it's upset or anger, rather than trying to suppress it and push it out all the time, which really happens, by doing that makes the emotion stronger and stronger and stronger, and it reconfirms that emotion.
So, doctors told you at some point as well, from what I've understood, that you wouldn't be able to walk again.
Keep working hard, keep believing in yourself, and you will achieve anything your life wants.
This is the story of his physical and mental comeback and what it really takes to rebuild a life. Andrew, it's going to be pretty easy to introduce you because everyone's going to know you from The Traitors. And The Traitors is one of the most popular programs on television today, not just in the UK. So that's really kicking off. And people will know you from that, but not most people won't necessarily know your backstory. And there is a lot to you.
Yeah.
And a lot has happened that has affected you and has affected how you lead your life today and what you're doing out there in the world. You've been impacted by certain things, and I want to go through them. And these are things that many will relate to, especially as far as mental health is concerned. But I'm going to let the story unfold as I ask you all these questions, because we want to get into that brain of yours and see what happened.
Yeah.
Let's start with a very big moment. You were declared dead at 21.
Yeah.
What happened?
I was driving my car, and there was 5 of us in my vehicle altogether. My previous partner, my son's mother, was in the passenger seat. My best friend and his girlfriend were in the back, and the lady I used to work with in the back. I hit a curb on the left-hand side. My left-hand wheels were passenger side. I flipped the car to the right-hand side. And I went through the driver's window, through the door, so the side window. So my legs were in the footwell under the steering wheel, and my top half was outside the car. My head and my arm, as you can see there, were dragged along the floor for a couple of 100 yards. When the car stopped sliding, it landed on top of me. So when the fire brigade, the police and the emergency services turned up, they told the people in the car that I was dead. I had to have 2 blood transfusions on the side of the road because I lost 6 pints of blood. You've only got 8 in your body, and I lost 6 of them. Because I won't go into too much detail, but I had no hair, no skin, nothing on top of my head at all, because I was dragged on the floor. I had a big hole in my skull, and I had all bone embedded in my brain. So when the fire brigade turned up, I had to lift the car up to get up underneath the car to work on me. So as you can imagine, it was horrendous. I was in a coma then for 4 weeks in intensive care.
My gosh.
Yeah, it was tough.
Did you know when this was, did you know what was happening to you at any point? You must have, you felt the curb.
Yeah.
So at that point you were still with it. So, and then the lights just went out?
I can't remember much about the day, to be honest with you. I can't remember it. So psychologically, the people in the car had it worse than what I did because they saw horrendous things. My previous partner, for example, when the car stopped sliding, she was hanging above me by her seatbelt, looking down. I was underneath the car, and I was half under the car. There's blood everywhere. She was calling my name, and I wasn't answering. The girl sat behind me, directly behind me, said, when you were sliding on the tarmac, it was like a horror film. It was all like blood spraying in my face. It was horrendous. So psychologically, they probably went through a lot worse than what my family, my friends went through worse. I just had to get better in a coma. So I had the easy bit, to be honest. But yeah,
I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I mean, what an awful thing to have lived through.
Yeah, it was.
And I suppose it doesn't really, something like that won't ever leave you.
No, it doesn't. And I've only come to terms with it really the last couple of years. I let my trauma define me for probably 24 years. My life was literally a car crash. So yeah, I think the last 2 years I've really getting strong again and using my trauma for good now to help inspire other people.
So doctors told you at some point as well, from what I've understood, that you wouldn't be able to walk again.
Yeah, when I was in my coma, my family were called into the hospital on 3 occasions to say, he's not going to make it through the night, come and say goodbye. I got 3 brothers, 2 older brothers, 1 younger brother, and my mum and dad. When I started recovering then, they got told that from the scans they've done on me, there's lots of shadows on my brain, which means dead tissue. So I got severe brain damage. So there's a chance I'll never wake up. But if I do wake up, I'm not going to recognise anyone, walk, talk, use my arms and legs ever again. So prepare for the worst. So I woke up after 4 weeks. And my mother and father were standing over my bedside. I didn't know where I was, what happened. It was quite scary. Lots of beeping everywhere, tubes everywhere, in a hospital in intensive care. So mother, and then 4 days later, the doctors came round and said to me, "You will never ever going to walk again." And my first response was, "I guarantee I walk to this hospital." My mother said,
Really?
Yeah.
They're literally saying to you, you are not going to walk again, and you're going, yes, I will.
My mother said it's embarrassing. The doctor is trying to tell you you're not going to walk again, and you're arguing. You're in bed with a tracheotomy in my throat there, tubes coming out of everywhere. And you're arguing with this man, telling me you are going to walk again, and I did. I proved the doctors wrong.
Well, the thing about you that I know is that you've got a rugby background. You're a tough cookie. Like rugby players, the fact that you would even do rugby and put yourself through that, there's something in the mentality of all rugby players. Was it that maybe that you were calling in on? Like, I can suffer through, I can do it.
A lot of it was my upbringing. Obviously, having 2 older brothers, having 3 brothers in total, as you can imagine, the competitiveness in my household was ridiculous, and the testosterone. And I now know, I've done a lot of studying over the last couple of years. I grew up in a toxic masculinity environment, so even though I had no emotional support, I suppose, growing up, or my parents are very old school. My dad is 82 years of age. My mum would have been 80, but she passed away a couple of weeks ago. But
I'm sorry about that. I know. I saw that on your socials, and I'm so sorry. Yeah,
it's okay. Thank
horrible.
You for that. But no, it's so upbringing. We call it. It's now known as emotional trauma. I don't like to say that because it makes it sound like something bad happened. Nothing bad happened. I'm compassionate towards my parents now because they don't know how to show their feelings and emotions. In their generation, didn't do that sort of thing. So my parents have never told me they love me to this day. But when it comes to the physical side of it, I think that's what helped me from the accident, being strong, being resilient and determined. So it's as good and bad, really. And obviously being a rugby backer, very competitive, helped too.
Yeah, I got to say, you said toxic masculinity. I feel like, you're right, that in that moment, it was that's the sort of strength you need. It was just really going to the core and the grit of that and just bringing it out. You need to be tough in a moment like that. You really do. And that competition is a good thing in a moment like that.
It was, yeah. So physically, it helped me massively. When somebody tells me I can't do something in life, I'll do it. I'll do it 10 times better. So when the doctor said I couldn't walk again, no disrespect, I know people in wheelchairs from different things, but at 21 years of age, being super fit and healthy and sporty, I didn't want to be in a wheelchair at 21 years of age. So I was determined I'd walk. The first time I got out of bed was scary. I was 2 months lying on my back, and they finally made me stand up. I literally couldn't find my legs.
Really? What, like jelly?
It's nothing. I couldn't feel anything. I do a lot of bodybuilding training. I do lots of. I do a lot of fitness. So mind, muscle, memory. I understand that. And the physiotherapist, I picked my feet up and put one in front of the other for a few days. I remember to walk them, but literally I couldn't remember to walk. So
that's crazy. How do you even not remember to walk? How do you, from someone who's physically as strong as you were, a rugby player, strong, like really, to not be able to even feel your feet?
It's a strange feeling. It's really. I was scared, a little bit scared, but I knew I was determined. Because I think in life, when you want something bad enough, it's in your head and in your heart. Go out there and get it. And there was a lot of people in the hospital who died around me whose injuries weren't that bad. They just give up on life. But I didn't want to give up on life. I was only 21. I had too much to do in life.
Gosh. Okay. So you couldn't feel your feet, but you started to practice step by step, and you started to walk again. Mm. When you started walking again, those steps, what was going through your mind? How did it feel?
Wow. God, there was lots of things going through my mind. I was nervous, anxious that I'd never be able to run or never be able to do sport again or walk properly. 'Cause it was very shaky, as you can imagine, the first couple of days, the first couple of weeks. It was very shaky. I'd stand on bars, like the wooden bar, like gymnastic people have, the parallel bars. I
Yeah,
was
yeah,
moving into
yeah.
them first of all. And then I finally let go of the bars after a week. Like I stumbled a little bit. And yeah, I did. I was determined. And I got something I can't explain. I got something deep inside me that drives me on like a fire in my belly. I want to be successful. I want to do well in life. And when they told me I couldn't walk again, I never really doubted myself, to be honest. I'm not being big headed or anything, but I knew I was going to walk again. I knew deep down in my heart I was going to walk again.
That's
I don't know, I can't
incredible.
explain it.
You've got a sense of a strength of character that's very admirable. It's impressive. You know, you
I
didn't
think
get.
everybody's got strength inside them. Every single person has got strength in their body. They don't know they got until they need to use it. I think every single person in the world has got something inside to be brilliant in life.
But I think anyone watching can take from this also the power of the mind, that just because you've had a diagnosis and because everything looks gloomy doesn't necessarily have to be the case. You could have allowed that to be your life and
I
not
could have
even
rolled
tried.
over. Yeah. I could have rolled over, felt sorry for myself, and yeah, lay there, listened to the doctors, and give up. But I didn't. And I think a lot of people, mindset is huge in all the aspects of the world of life. I think in your career, in your life, in your mental strength and resilience and mindset is so important.
That's why I'm saying there's so much more to you than appearing on Traitors. So, like, you know, I mean, it's fantastic that you did, and we'll talk about that. But this is such another level of strength, and it's inspirational.
I tick so many boxes, yeah.
Yeah, there will be people watching us going through things, having some very bad health diagnosis, or loved ones with a terrible health diagnosis, and feeling lost and feeling like there's no hope. And what you're saying is, if you can tap into that mind as much as possible, it's going to definitely put you on a different path. Even the positivity of it all, the mental attitude towards the situation, right?
100%. And I said, I want to be the real person out there. There's too much unicorns and rainbows and fluff out there at the moment. And people they book me for my talks, my workshops, they watch my social media because I'm real, I'm authentic. And yeah, life is tough. You are going to face challenges in life. But as long as you're having better days than you are bad, and take one small step every day, and you might go forward 2 steps, 3 steps, you might fall back 1. As long as you keep going, pick yourself up, dust yourself off, believe in yourself, and keep going. That's the same now in career, in relationships, and everything in life. Just keep moving forward, like 1% a day. Try and get better every day. I had a big goal. I wanted to walk again. But every day, I wanted to do 5 steps, a couple of steps more every single day. And that mounted up to a huge goal of walking again.
Yeah. It's crazy to think, but it is that little one step at a time thing. And you've got to have the patience with yourself, and it's okay to fall, and it's okay to take 1 step today and think, oh, why couldn't I take more? Why can't I walk further? But it's okay that it was 1 step, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. So I used to be too hard on myself. I'm so competitive. I used to be so hard on myself. And I do lots of talks. I said, people, be kind to yourself. I said, yeah, you might say, throw away comments and call yourself names silly and things like that. But after a while, you start to believe it. Be kind to yourself. And don't be hard on yourself. Be compassionate towards yourself. And, you're doing the best you can in life with the tools you've got available to you. So, yeah, just take small steps. And having good people around you is really good as well. And a good support network around you to help you pick you up if you're feeling a bit down.
So you took these steps until it was a 1,200 kilometer trek. Where did you go? What did you do and why? And what message were you sending with this very, very long walk?
I walked 1,200 kilometres across 4 countries. I walked the length of Scotland. I started in Ardross Castle, where we filmed the Traitors, right at the top of Scotland, up the top of the Highlands. Length of Scotland, part of England. Went on a ferry then from Liverpool to Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
I walked the length of Ireland, back over to North Wales, and walked the full length of Wales, then ended up in Cardiff Castle on 10th November. And I did that for everybody out there who is battling demons, thinks they're not good enough, being told they can't do something in life, lost their confidence, self-worth, being in a coma. I'd say I ticked so many boxes. I worked in a corporate world for years, in corporate banking for 18 years at Lloyd's. Then I've been in a coma. I was told I'd never walk again. So yeah, I lost my confidence and my self-belief. So I did have people out there struggling to prove to these people, keep working hard, keep believing in yourself, and you're going to achieve anything in life you want. I'm proof of that, I suppose.
take us with you on that walk onto a moment, whatever moment you remember vividly. What was going through your mind in that moment? Where were you? What were you doing? What was going through your mind?
It was one time I hurt my knee really badly, and it was my fault. I didn't do any stretching, or I wasn't doing any exercise at the end of the day, because I was probably walking about 40 kilometres a day every day, a marathon a day.
That's a lot of walking. That's a lot.
And when I got back to my accommodation, I just wanted to relax, to be honest. I should have been stretching, foam rolling. So I'd walked, I think it was 800 kilometres, and I hurt my knee really badly. And the team of people who were doing my walk with me, called Challenge the Wild, the owner wanted to pull me from the challenge. He said, we have to stop. You've got to think of your long-term health, because this could have long-term implications on you. But again, showing my resilience, that's my stubborn side. I said, no, I'm not quitting. I'll crawl I'll crawl on my hands and knees to the end of the finish line. I'll never give up. I'll never give up on anything in life. And if I believe in something bad enough in life, whatever that is, I'll go after it and I'll get it eventually. And not being big-headed. Anything in life that I really wanted, I really believed in, I've achieved it, I've got it. And my walk, I knew I was going to finish my walk. I could have hopped it. I don't know how I would have done it, but I wasn't going to stop. It was a tough day. That was a really tough day.
You had a low moment, but again, you stuck through it.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like that David Goggins guy, I don't know if you know him. Do you know him?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was putting photos up of his blistered feet, and you think, really? But, as you say, if you want it badly enough, if it's for a good cause, you're definitely doing the right thing. Because the thing is, that's the message to people as well. You want them to stick it out, that really bad, it's almost like an earthquake that's happening, it's shaking up your life. Just hang in there.
Yes, again, having the right purpose, isn't it, I suppose. And I thought of all them people out there who are struggling in silence, battling with their mental health, who are not fortunate enough to be, they can't walk, they're in wheelchairs. So I'm grateful for the fact that I can walk again. And when I work with people with a brain injury, it makes me so grateful. I was so close to being like that, not being able to feed myself, not being able to walk. So when I walk, a bit of pain, a couple of hours of pain, a couple of days of pain is worth it. For all these people out there, I'm raising money for all them people out there who are not as fortunate as me, I suppose. So that's what kept me going, kept me driving on.
Okay. Now we're going to go back a little bit more into your past. You said that you used to live by people's expectations. What did you mean by that?
I think we all do. I think most people do in this country. And when you're born, you're the truest, most authentic version of yourself as a child. You've got no inhibitions. You've got no self-esteem issues, no confidence. We're just plain, innocent children with blank canvases. And then you get programmed to fit in society, to be socially accepted. First of all, your parents do it. They'll punish you sometimes just for being yourself. You're running around laughing. They'll send you to your bedroom. They'll take your toy off you. You're thinking, I'm just being myself. And then they'll do this job like your dad, do this job like your mum. Why can't you be like your brother? You're compared to your siblings. So then we go to school. We get judged some more by the teachers. Our self-worth starts getting valued by the grades we get in schools. If you get an A grade, you think you're amazing. If you get an E grade, you get written off. So people, attach their self-worth and value as a human being to their achievements in life and the material things in life. And that's what I talk about in schools now. I say it's important to try hard and get good things. I'm not saying that. Don't beat yourselves up and think you're a bad person can achieve it. And then we end up then finding a job with the biggest salary possible. We're led to believe from a young age, more money means more happiness. And then one day you wake up you're in a house, you've got a good salary coming in, 6-figure salary, you've got a good body, a nice house, good car, pretty partner. I used to be really miserable. I was that person. I'd look in the mirror now and again, I think, I've got everything in life that I was told would make me happy, but I'm still miserable.
You were? So you had the car, you had the house, you had the partner, the pretty partner, as you put it. You're not happy. No. Why?
Every now and again, I look in the mirror and I think, I'm not happy. And I used to get frustrated with myself, thinking I've got everything in life that I was told would make me happy. What I was doing, I was living to everybody else's expectations, my social circle, my parents, not doing what I want to do. So, people call it a midlife crisis. I don't think it is a midlife crisis. I think it's an awakening, really. You realise who the true version is of you. I say to people in school now, or in parents, I say, let your children live their life and do something they enjoy. I know you only want what's best for your children. I know you want what's best for them. But don't force them to do a job, because they'll end up in a job for 20, 30 years. I used to drag myself to a job every day. It didn't fulfill me at all. It was good money, but I hated it. But I was earning good money, so it was harder. Once you get up to a certain level, it's hard to take a step back. It's hard to take a drop back then to find something you want to do. And like years ago, I don't think I've ever gone back in salary. I've always gone up and up and up. I've never actually looked at a job specification or job description and thought to myself, well, that's really good. It's 5-10 grand less, but a much better job. I've never done that. Do you think that's a failure? That's failure going backwards. But it's not. I wish I'd done a job now that I really fulfilling job that I wanted to do, not to keep my mother and father happy. My parents used to say to people, oh, my son's a bank manager. My son's a bank manager. And I used to say that.
Yeah.
Nobody cares. Nobody cares you're a bank manager. It doesn't matter.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of kids that attend the school with my children that want to be doctors, but they don't really want to be doctors. It's the parents have put these expectations on, so they're all going to go study medicine. But you can kind of tell that their interests are more in other areas. You just take 5 minutes speaking to them, and you know that that's not really, But that's the right thing to do. And yes, it's a people pleasing thing that's going on, a society pleasing thing. Whereas actually, if you stay true to your own talents, you're more likely to be successful because that's what you're talented in anyway, and you're motivated to do that thing. So, yeah, there's something quite not right in the setup of our societal, whatever you want to call it. Something's off.
I know you've got to work, you've got to live to your values. If you've got your values, if you're not living to your values, you will feel uneasy all the time. You're not living to your true values of being your true, authentic self. Being authentic is really powerful. You take your mask off and be the true version of yourself. And it's scary taking your mask off, to be honest. And I can see why people don't want to take their mask off, because it's scary. You feel vulnerable, you feel afraid, you feel out of control, you feel all these different things. But once you do it, you feel much more, you feel fulfilled, and you feel it's like empowering, actually, be the true version of you, not some fake persona you're putting on for all these people. So the people around you get the real version of you. I've lent into my vulnerable side the last couple of years, but I thought vulnerable was weakness years ago. But it's not. It's actually brave and courageous, being vulnerable and strength.
Do you feel now that you're able to live without that mask?
Yes, 100%. And the people around me who care about me, who love me, they'll stay with me. Do you know what I mean? Growth is uncomfortable, to be honest. When you grow, you lose people by the wayside. People get jealous because you're growing, you're reaching out your comfort zone, you're growing. And I think it highlights an area in them. There's a weakness in them. So I've lost people, but I don't really bother with my old friends anymore. I still see them, don't get me wrong, but I'm different, I'm changed now. Then it only speaks of growth. It can be quite lonely and isolating sometimes, but I love it. I'm growing more now in the last couple of years than I have done in 45 years probably.
It's the rugby competitive mentality in you, I'm telling you. You can never, you can stop playing rugby, but you won't change that mentality. Yeah. Okay, so before Traitors, you touched on this, but you had this career in banking and insurance. Yeah. So what was the decision you made to stop that? Like, what step away from that security, because it's financial security. And then you're going, I'm going to take a risk. What happened?
I still ask myself that question.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, to be honest, I went on the Traitors and I thought I was going to carry on working in insurance and do some talks on the side, a bit of podcast, whatever. But I was so busy after the show. People were constantly contacting me saying, come and talk here. Could you come and do this? Come and do that? Because my story, even though it doesn't have to be a car accident, but the consequences and things afterwards are quite relatable to millions in this country. I lost my self-worth, my confidence. Failure. I thought failure was a bad thing growing up. I wouldn't do anything unless I knew I was going to win or be successful at it.
Yeah.
The workshops on failure. Failure's not a bad thing. So after the show, I had all these offers coming to me. So I was trying to work 7 days a week. I was working silly hours trying to make up my day job. But I was also lying to my boss in work all the time. So I'd say to my boss in work, I'm off to see a customer now, but his insurance policy is due for renewal. I'd go off and do my podcast or my keynote talk.
Oh.
Because my life is all over social media, on LinkedIn or Instagram, within about 2 hours or 3 hours of leaving my office, all over LinkedIn say, welcome Andrew from the Traitors to his podcast. Or I go back to my office and later that day or the next day, my boss would say to me, what's that?
Yeah, no.
I don't say. But he said the thing is, the big bosses in London who own the company, they're watching you like a hawk. And they're challenging him, saying, what's he doing? He's so busy doing his talks, his webinar. What income is he bringing into the business? And to be honest, I wasn't doing anything. I was keeping on top of my renewals, doing lots of my renewals, keep my existing customers happy, but I wasn't really doing any new business at all. So I'm a good person, I have good morals and values. And I said to my boss, I got to leave. I said, I'm robbing a salary off you at the moment. I said, and it doesn't sit right with me. And he's a good guy, he's a brilliant guy. And he said, yeah, we understand. So you don't have to work your 3 months notice, because I had 3 months notice in my contract as I was senior. So I left on that day then. So I left, it's a massive gamble, and left it with nothing. I had nothing set up, nothing really. I'm still trying to set it up now. I'm still doing things now I should have been doing it a year ago. But I've let everybody else from my life for the last 16 months, rather than trying to do it myself, being organised and structured. So I've been very reactive, very proactive.
Well, you started to really to work for yourself. That's what you started. That's how you did it. You started to invest the time into, instead of making the money for that client, for that company, you invested it in yourself, into your social media presence, into your own brand. And you have to start somewhere, and it is a lot of work. It is time, and all of that goes into it. So you just, you outgrew that.
It's scary. Don't get me wrong. Yeah, I've always worked all my life. I've worked in banking for 18 years, insurance for 10. So all my life I've gone into work, used their systems, used their marketing, used their CRM. I don't have to think of anything. Just my customers now. It's all on me. It's not. It doesn't light me up inside. I don't enjoy it. I enjoy talking to people, building relationships, keeping in relationships, meeting people. When it comes to all the back office stuff, I'd rather. I sit in the house sometimes for an hour or two, and I think, I can't do this, I'm bored now. I end up going to have a coffee and a meeting with someone. So I got to start leaning into the uncomfortable side, or pay somebody to do it. I haven't got lots of money to pay someone, because these things cost money. I left my job into nothing. I had no time to save any money, because I wasn't planning to leave my job. So I didn't have 6 months to plan things. I just left the same day. So I had no chance to really save any money or put money to one side. I didn't win the Traitors either. So people think you've only been on the telly, got loads of money. I didn't win the TV show. I was on it, so I lost in the final. So it's been a massive challenge. But now it's going really well now the last couple of months.
It is a challenge. It's definitely a brave move. I'll give you that.
Crazy. I don't know. Crazy or brave? I don't know.
Yeah, both probably. So let's talk a little bit about, if it's okay with you, about your family. So you said your parents never told you they loved you. That's quite a bold statement to make. Mm-hmm. What was your relationship like with your dad?
It was good. I got on well with my parents. My parents, the way they showed their love to me and my three brothers was putting a roof over my head, clothes on my back, and food on the table. It's a generation they come from.
Yeah.
I'm very compassionate with my parents now, because my dad's 82, for example. My mother would have been 80, so they're really old school. My parents have never driven a car. They've never sat in an aeroplane. They have the same meals every night at the same times. They watch the same things on television. They're creatures of habits with a fixed mindset. So I'm compassionate towards my parents, because they know how to show their feelings and emotions. Like my mother and father, I've read a lot about love languages. My father's love language is time. So he'd give up his time to watch me playing rugby. He wouldn't miss any of my matches. He wouldn't miss my break. He'd be on the touchline, standing on the side of the field in the rain, snow, the wind. He wouldn't miss a game. And that was his way of showing
I love that.
And then my mother's acts of service. So when I left home at 22 years of age, I'd never used the washing machine. I'd never used a cooker. Never used an iron. My mother did everything for us. When she was really intelligent, she left grammar school and she had a job at National Westminster Bank. And she was one of the only women in the country to work. Back then, it was a real male-dominated industry. She had a good job in National Westminster Bank. But as soon as my oldest brother Simon was born, she gave up her career to be what was classed as an old-fashioned housewife then. So, and my mother did everything for her life, was her sons and my dad. And my three brothers were the same. When we left home, like when I was there, she did everything for us. But when my mother passed away a few weeks ago, my dad really struggles, because he's never had to do anything all his life. Now he's got to try and do it all, and he gets really frustrated at the moment, because my mother don't realise exactly what she did for us. It's only when you leave home you realise and appreciate what she did for us.
That's incredible. It's so nice that you see that, you appreciate that. I think that's lovely.
We had a good relationship, we had a good upbringing. I knew we were loved. You could tell it was a nice warm home and everything, but yeah, it was just the emotional side of it. And I grew up exactly the same, not being able to show any feelings and emotions. I thought if you show feelings and emotions, that made you weak. I thought men don't show feelings and emotions, because I was a rugby boy, a gym person, a doorman, security, close protection. I've done all these toxic masculinity jobs, thinking you can't show feelings and emotions. Like after my accident, I didn't speak to anybody after my accident. They offered me counselling, but I refused it, because I thought I was going to see somebody in a white coat who was going to judge me, psychoanalyze me. And I refused. I said, I'm not going to see that. They don't know how I'm feeling. They've studied a textbook for 5 years. They don't know how I'm feeling like. I refused counselling and therapy. I didn't speak to anybody for years.
You know what? I went to a school in South Africa and in Grahamstown, and it was quite a British school. It had like a British system upbringing, and something bad happened with one of my friends, and we were all sad and we started crying, and it was very emotional and all that. And then the lady who was in charge, she came up to us and she was like, "Listen, come here. And we're like, okay. So, and then she took us to the side to her like headquarters, whatever you want to call it, and closed the door behind and said, look, you can be emotional here, deal with it, and when you've finished, then you can come out." And I just thought,
Wow.
wow, I'd never seen anything like, I'm still not sure how I feel about it till this day, because in a way I understand that you don't want to inflict your drama onto others or whatever. But then again, what's wrong with emotion? Same thing, I tried to hug my mum, when she arrived. I hadn't seen her for a long time. She walked into the school and I dived onto her and I squeezed the living daylights out of her because I was just so happy to see her. And again, the warden, "Oh, we don't do that." And my mum sort of looked and she was, "Oh, sorry. She didn't know that it was my mum. And I thought,
Yeah.
it's a bit, what'd you say to that?
Yeah, it's crazy, and I suppose that happens years ago. And I suppose for men, especially in this country,
Yeah.
you're told from a very young age to suppress your feelings and emotions as a young boy. Don't cry. Babies cry. Girls cry. Man up. So from a young age, where most men are just told suppress your feelings and emotions. So you build all these emotions inside you, bottled up for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years. Sometimes men never lean into their emotions or their vulnerable side. So they got all this pent up emotions inside them, and it comes out in other ways. Then it could be drugs, it could be different ways. It comes out in other ways. Then sex, drugs, or something. Then it comes out in violence, anger, frustration, because they're building up these emotions. And I've learned over the last couple of years that if you've got an emotion in your body, especially if it's upset or anger, rather than trying to suppress it and push it down all the time, which is what normally happens, by doing that makes the emotion stronger and stronger and stronger, and it reconfirms that emotion. So you have to lean into it rather than suppressing it. Try and lean into it and deal with it. Otherwise, it'll keep coming back up every now and again. So when you're upset, for example, try and think. I always think to myself now, what's causing that? Is it something from my childhood? What's causing that? Rather than me trying to ignore it and push it down, I'll try and lean into it now. It's uncomfortable sometimes. You've got to find out, you look at yourself, your secrets and everything, but you lean into it and you feel much calmer and you start leaning into your uncomfortable emotions.
I like it. Lean into it.
Yeah, rather than trying to push it away.
I like it. Look at it as if, just accept it. Don't brush it under the carpet, is what you're saying, really.
Yeah, most of the time it's normally something that's happened from your childhood. You're an inner child. You've got something called an inner child, and normally it's something that happened from when you were 5, 6, 7 years of age. Someone has said something to you, done something, said something, a trauma. Like we got an inner child. I used to like the child used to come out on a regular basis. Only the last couple of years, I've learned it by working and help heal my inner child, I suppose.
Okay. Then the opportunity comes along for you to be on Traitors.
Mm-hmm.
Why did you do it?
I asked myself that question. Why did I do it? No, I actually had a message on my Instagram page. I didn't apply for it initially. I would never apply for things like that. I don't really watch reality TV. So I had a message on my Instagram from a casting director saying, do you want to apply for the show? Your story looks incredible. You seem like a nice person. Do you want to apply for the show? And first of all, I thought I didn't think it was serious. And then I thought to myself, I can get a great profile and a platform and the connections I got now to do what I want to do now. So I wanted to start talking about well-being and mental health before the TV show. But I only had a couple of hundred followers. I didn't have any connections. So that's genuinely the only reason I'm on that show. I don't care about being recognised in the street. I'm a humble man. I'll never change the person I am, regardless of how successful I become, or I'll never change the person I am. The only reason I'm on that show is to get a platform to do what I do now. All I want to do is lie on my deathbed, close my eyes, not any difference to this planet. That's all I want to do is help people. I don't want people to suffer in silence like I did for many, many years. So I want to help give back to people. I will show people you can overcome lots of things in life and have a good life.
This definitely comes across from you. I can feel, I know we're filming this remotely, but I can feel how much you want this. I
I want
can
it back.
feel it that you want to help people. It's the weird thing, what they've done with you, and I don't know, it's quite clever, but really you are very authentic. They've put you on Traitors, and they've put you in as a faithful initially, which is understandable because of the authentic and completely transparent, honest person you are. But then there's a twist, and then you become a traitor. How was that for you?
If you'd seen the show, you obviously know I wasn't very comfortable with that. I didn't enjoy it at all.
But you had to do it.
Yeah,
So
because Paul and Harry were the traitors at the time. They said, if you didn't join us, we were going to murder you the next night. 'Cause he was such a strong faithful. Nobody was voting for you at the round table, so you were a threat to us. So they said, the only way we're going to do it is either joining us or we're going to murder you. So if I didn't join them that day, the next day I would have gone, another chop, I'd have been gone. So yeah, I didn't want to do it. But at the end of the day, I kept telling, I'm not a stupid guy. I kept my feet on the ground. And I thought, it's just a game. The people outside of this game who know me, my family, my close friends, know what person I'm like really. They know I'm not really a liar or a horrible person. You know, people around the country watching might have an opinion. They don't know me. The people who really care about me, who know me, who I care about, they know the real person. And like, I'm a very competitive sportsman. It would have been like quitting at half time and not finishing the game for the final whistle. My brothers would have gone mad saying, give up a game before the final whistle. They're always told to play until the end of the game, to the final whistle. So I thought, I'll change to a traitor and carry on playing. But it was awkward the first day or two, but then I got used to it.
through your answer, it's very interesting the way you've answered that, because it shows me that you had an internal struggle and you had to justify becoming a traitor and doing these things and making it okay in order to be able to do it. So there was an internal struggle there mentally.
Massive, yeah. I was on the telly. It took me a couple of minutes to make the decision. Probably about 10 or 15 minutes, actually. Obviously, it didn't seem that long on the television. But I was sat in that room for about 15, 20 minutes thinking to myself, I don't want to do it. I'm an honest person, good values and morals. I didn't want to manipulate people or twist things and that. But yeah, I made the decision in the end. It was in the first day or two, it looked quite obvious on the telly that I was a traitor because I hated it, because I was paranoid that everybody was looking at me and talking about me. But after a couple of days, I just got used to it.
In the moments when you were faithful,
Yeah.
that was pretty easy, wasn't it? You were able to be completely true to yourself, and that's all fine. In the moments where you had to be a traitor and you weren't being true to the others deliberately, what effect was this having on you? You know, as in terms of being an authentic person, which is very important to you.
To be honest, if you watch the show, I didn't really have to do much manipulation or lying, to be honest. I just went along with Harry, so I just didn't want to.
True. Harry.
Yeah. I lied. I made one lie to Ross. I felt really bad inside. My insides are twisting and turning. But I'm telling Ross to his face at the round table he's lying. But I know deep down he's telling the truth.
Poor
But
Ross.
internally, it didn't sit right with me at all. And Ross went mad when I said the word elusive at the round table. And Ross said, you said elusive. I didn't say that word. I don't even know what it means. And I knew exactly what it meant, and that it didn't feel good. It didn't sit good with me at all. But that was the only real time I actually had to lie to anyone.
What did you learn about human nature from that experience that possibly surprised you?
I couldn't believe the sheep. How much? Like when you watch all the series, it's like a herd mentality. It's like a pack mentality. You know, some people just jump on the bandwagon, and people just like there's the celebrity version on telly now. People just jump on the bandwagon, they follow the herd because they're too scared to stand up being authentic and go against everyone else. So they all just follow each other, to be honest, like sheep, I suppose. So, and every season of the Traitors is exactly the same, and that's why the Traitors are always winning. The first few weeks they're winning by landslide, by about 7-1 normally they're winning by. If nobody is brave enough to put their head above the parapet and just be honest and authentic and call a traitor out. But I get it, it's an awkward game. If you start calling traitors out early in the game, you're going to get murdered. It's a really difficult game to play. Do you be honest and true to yourself and be honest and call out the traitors? On the other hand, then, no, if you start calling the traitors out, you're going to get murdered. So it depends really how you want to play that game. If you want to get in the game, stay in the game as long as you wanted to, like I wanted to, try and win it, or you try to be brave and honest, be true to yourself from the very start.
I mean, there's parallels to The Apprentice, which I was on,
Yeah.
which is you did really well in the beginning keeping a low profile because you definitely don't want to be project manager in week one of The Apprentice either. There are ways to deal with these games, but what people don't realize about reality TV is that it is pressure. It's not easy. I mean, I didn't find it easy, did you?
It's not easy. I was quite lucky because I kept my game plan when I went in there was to get on with it. I'm a nice person, so I got on with all the other contestants. I was quite friendly. I didn't say too much because if you say too much, you get murdered. I didn't want to say nothing at all. If you're too quiet, you'll get suspicious. So I just said enough, you tick over. My game plan was to go under the radar right to the very end, and then I was going to make my move at the very end. But Ross messed my chances up at the round table. So I was lucky. I never got really put under any pressure at the round table. Only once I got accused at the round table, but I answered that, it was fine. But some people at the round table actually crumble under the pressure. They got accused and they were arguing, and it is a massive pressure situation. Even
Massive.
when you're being accused of something you haven't done, in normal life, that's horrible.
It's horrible.
Yeah, but at the round table, you've got 6 or 7 people against you. It's even worse. They're all firing questions at you, and you're sat there. I've seen people just break and crumble in front of my eyes at the round. I felt so sorry for them.
And you know, when you talk about that sheep mentality, it's also a little bit about who can be the sacrificial lamb here. So who's weak? It's sniffing out the weak party, pinning a label on them. And this is exactly the same with The Apprentice, by the way. You almost sense blood. You know, the sharks are circling around. So yes, it's sheep, but it's also sharks at the same time. They sniff the blood, you're weak, and then they attack. And they bring that sacrificial lamb down. And then it's like, we're safe. Bye-bye to you.
Yeah, that's very true, actually. That's good. Yeah.
It's a jungle out there.
It is a jungle out there, yeah. There are lots of nice people out there. There's also very sly and sneaky people out there as well who'll stab you in the back. A lot of snakes.
Oh.
And I've found that out a lot the last 14, 15 months in this world I'm living in now. So I've been thrust into this limelight. I enjoy it. I love it, do you know what I mean? But there's lots of people out there who've used me so much over the last, because of my name. I'll come here and do this. And they promise things to return things. In my, I'll do it for free, but in return, I'll give you this. In return, I'll give you that. You never hear of them again. So, I'm a nice person. I've got a big heart. I want to help people. But at the end of the day, I need to earn money. I've got to pay bills. I've got a roof over my head exactly the same as everyone else. So, there's a lot of snakes out there, to be honest. I'm getting better for sniff these people out, to be honest.
That's not right. Yeah, I had an intelligence officer on here the other day, and we were speaking about, different types of personalities, and he's been in lots of different situations. And we were speaking about how actually, if you look at humans on all the different personalities, it's almost like you can categorize people into types of animals that they could potentially be. So you get the snakes, you get the parasitic people, you get the viruses that you can't see the danger, but oh boy is it there. You get the lions, you get the sheep, you get the wolves.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I love that analogy. Yeah, it's good.
You can keep going. It is for sure.
Like a zoo.
Yeah, it's a zoo. It's a zoo. And what you really want is what's the best in nature, which is a symbiotic relationship where it's good for everyone. Let's go together.
100%.
And one
That's
of those
what is more collaboration. If people work together, there's so much. I know it's competitive. People worry about money, but I think there's enough business out there for everyone. Whatever your business, whatever your trade, work together. Come together, work together, especially in well-being and mental health. It's not a competition. We're not talking about KPIs or money. We're talking about people's lives. So we got to help each other, work together. There's so much bitchiness in fighting and things like that goes on. It's unbelievable, honestly.
There is, isn't there? There really is. So what did the Traitors teach you about vulnerability?
Yeah, I actually learned a lot about vulnerability. But the biggest thing I learned in the Traitors was what's important in life. I had pictures of my family around my room where I was staying. And I go back to my room at the end of every day, and I talk to my pictures. I thought I was going mad. Every morning before I left to go to the castle, I would talk to my pictures again. I see people, the psychologist come to our room every few days, Victoria, she was amazing. And I'd say, am I going mad? I'm talking to my pictures. She goes, no, it's great you're getting off your chest, you're grounded, you're obviously very emotionally intelligent, you're talking to them, getting off your chest, you're not bottling things up. And I looked around the room, and I knew about a week before the end I wasn't going to win it. I knew I wasn't going to win it because he had so much influence, Harry, over the rest of the people. But I looked around the room and I thought to myself, this is what matters. These people, they love me exactly the same, like I'm first, second, 10th, All these people will think exactly the same. Yeah, we just wanted to win. I'm competitive. £95,000 would be nice. Not that I'm bitter about it at all. Who needs £95,000? But that's what's important to me. That made me realise it gave me lots of time on my own to think about life in general, what's important, what's not important in life. So I had lots of thinking time to think about what really is important to me.
Okay. And your exit from the Traitors, you appeared very emotional. What emotions were going through your mind? How did you feel? And maybe for those that didn't know, what happened?
When I left, I was actually quite calm on the telly. I smiled and I walked off because I knew what was coming. But Molly, Jazz, and Harry were in the final, the four of us at the round table. And I got voted off. So Harry, Jazz, and Molly voted me off. So I left. I was on fourth. And but like I said, I knew a week before the end, or not a week, maybe a few days before the end. And Molly and Jazz, I knew were going to vote for me. So I come to terms with it. I had all day to think about it on my own, pretty much all day, because we were split up on the last day. Because the final went on much later than what we expected. But yeah, so I had all day to sit and think about things and calm myself down and trying to think about what I'm going to do, my next move. Do I go against Harry? Do I try and win it? And it was quite stressful, a little bit stressful. But I was quite comfortable with how far. I was quite proud of myself, actually. So the first time in all my life, I suppose, 25, 30 years, I was actually proud of myself. I'm proud of where I got to. Whereas years ago, I'd be disappointed that I didn't win it. But now, I'm proud of where I came, and I got upset because that's the first time in a long time that I've actually felt proud of myself and actually proud of my achievements.
I'm going to ask you this. I mean, do you think, and I'm just putting it out there, that it might be a good thing not to win the Traitor Award? I mean, I'm just putting it out there. I don't know. I mean, obviously it's a game. But yeah, I wouldn't beat myself up about that at all. And to come forth is incredible. And you had to play both. You had the most difficult role because you also had formed relationships. You had been in there a long time. And then you had to turn and do that. So they put you in a very difficult, you probably had it the worst. Really?
I was the only player in there actually to do everything. So they said to me, I had the complete experience. I was a faithful, I was a traitor, I got locked in a dungeon, I did every mission, I did the end game, I did the end mission, I did the fire pit at the end. So I was the only player. Harry didn't even do half the stuff I did, and he won it. I did everything, so I had the full experience, if you like. So yeah, it was tough, it was good.
You did, you had the full suite of of torture.
Yeah.
So now you've become a voice for mental health. For men, do you have men approaching you that, you know, are in difficulties? Do you find that you have that responsibility now to try and help these people?
Yeah, I speak to hundreds of thousands of people over the last 18 months probably. And yeah, I speak to lots of women as well. Women, emotions, women suffer the same as emotions from a trauma. Trauma's a trauma, depending, no matter what sex you are. Trauma's a trauma. And I got lots of women reaching out to me who've got young boys. Perhaps the dad isn't around for whatever reason, so they reach out to me because they're young children and they want advice and support about their rugby, about their sport, about their schooling. So I get lots of women reaching out to me as well, speaking about their children. Yeah, I get lots of that. It is a lot of pressure. So I speak to people all the time, but I say to people straight away, I'm not a qualified counsellor or a therapist or something. They say to me, I don't care. I just want to speak to somebody who's been through something, come out the other side. I want to know how you've overcome that. I don't want to speak to an academic or a counsellor. I want to speak to somebody normal who's relatable, who's got a lived experience. And I say lived experience is really powerful these days. Not just my character, but if you've had cancer, if you've had a stroke, whatever your lived experience is, people listen to it. It gives you credibility. People listen to you. It's like myself after an accident. I refuse the counsellor. I no disrespect. They say my life, for example, but an academic, I didn't want to speak to an academic. How do they know how I'm feeling? They've read a textbook for 5 years. They haven't been through it. They don't know how I'm feeling. I would have spoken to somebody who's been through something, a car crash or something, because they would have understood where I was coming from and they would listen to me, empathise with me. And that's what people say to me. I get so many messages people say, I want to speak to somebody who's been through something, come out the other side. It is a lot of pressure. I do speak to people too much, to be honest. I speak all the time and talking to people.
So what are the common themes? You know, what are people typically going through that come to you? Just also in case someone's listening, you know, what are the sort of things that people are suffering with that you found the most common?
A lot of it's a lack of confidence or self-belief. A lot of it is, or if they've had a trauma. People are, everybody loses their confidence sometime in their life. It doesn't be a car accident. It's got to, you do it whether they've lost their job or been through a divorce or something. You do lose a bit of confidence sometimes. And I read people reach out to me a lot about, belief or self-belief or confidence and self-worth. A lot of people do. They say they feel lost in life at the moment. They don't believe in themselves anymore. They've lost their confidence. So I speak to a lot of people around that area. The biggest one probably, or trauma, some form of trauma.
And you spoke earlier about your mum. I mean, that's a dark. No one wants to lose their mum. It's a horrible, horrible thing. And tell us a little bit about how you process that. Because people are losing people they love, and how do you process that grief?
I'm going to say not cold. I love my mother bits. And also, my mother was the matriarch of the family. She was the boss of the family. She's only about 4'10". All of her boys were towering over her. When she spoke, we all listened. She was the boss of the household. She was the main person in the house, and the strength. That's where I get my strength from, my mother. But I've done a lot of work over the last 2 years on reframing things, and this sounds a bit ooh or whatever now, but I've done a lot of reading about spiritual things, about frequencies, vibrations, and all this sort of thing. And I believe my mother's still with me in some capacity. Her spirit is still. She might have left her physical body, her vessel, but her spirit is still with me, and I feel it sometimes. When I did a talk up in Leeds, a big talk at a big conference, and it was 3 days after my mother passed. I'd send my slides over a few weeks before that, and one of the slides was me, my mother, and my son. And the whole point of that slide is to spend time with people. Don't take time for people for granted. And I thought, so I was standing up in front of the big audience. I clicked the clicker, the picture came on the screen behind me.
Oh no.
The voice went a bit funny. And I felt a bit, but all of a sudden, I felt really warm. As if somebody put their arm around me, as if I felt somebody hugging me. And I felt really calm. So I felt my voice went a bit funny. All of a sudden, it was like my mother had her arm around me and said, "Come on, boy, you've got this. You could do it."
Oh, that's really emotional.
And I went, which felt really calm. And I carried on talking then in front of the audience. And I did tell the audience that I saw my mum passed away 3 days ago. And they said, "Well, you're doing this talk. It was only 3 days ago." I said, "It was booked in a long time ago. I was the main speaker, so I couldn't cancel it." And I've obviously reframed things. So and I know grief is absolutely different for every single person. I was diagnosed with grieving after an accident because I refused to be a professional. But then 15 years after my accident, I actually went to see a counsellor for the first time ever. And she said to me after the first session, "I know what's wrong with you." And I said, "What's that?" PTSD and depression. And she said, "Yeah, you've got them, but no, you're grieving." I didn't know much about it back then. I do workshops on it. I said, "What do you mean grieving? That's when you die." And she goes, "You haven't physically got to die to grieve." She goes, "It's the loss of identity. Yes, all you're doing off your days. I used to play rugby. I used to do this. I used to be grieving the old Andrew." And she said to me, "People grieve all the time. Every single person grieves. They don't realise they're doing it. When you lose a big project in work, for example, the attendance of a big project in work doesn't come off, that's grieving. When you change departments in work to a different department, that's grieving. Retire from work is grieving. Lose your sporting career." And she said, people, even when they have children, grieve because they can't go out as much. They haven't got as much money, as much freedom. It's grieving your whole life. So when I do my talk, and I talk about grieving, I can see people in the audience thinking, "God, I must have been grieving when I lost my job, or when I got divorced, or when I separated from my partner." So all grief is the emotional reaction to the loss of any kind. So I was grieving after my accident. So in regards to my mother, I tried to reframe it. So obviously I miss my mother, of course I do. But I try to think about the 47 good years I spent with my mother, rather than focus on the negatives. Some people, when they grieve, they focus on the fact they're never going to see that person again, never going to listen to that person again. I know it's different for everyone, not belittling anything at all, but with me, I try to think, right, think of the good man, think of the good 47 years that I spent with my mother, happy memories, when she used to put me to bed, read the story every night, and I put a smile on my face. So I try and focus on the positives rather than focusing on the negatives, because it's easy to focus on the negatives and spiral into a dark place for days and days or weeks and months. And my dad is struggling at the moment. They've been together 62 years, married 58 years, so they know different. He knows different, to be honest. They were like joined together.
Joined together.
Yeah, so he's really struggling. He's quite angry and bitter at the moment. He's struggling with life, general day-to-day normal life. He's struggling with. Whereas my 3 brothers, I think, all seem okay. I'm trying to think of keep myself positive and happy. I think, and I know my mother's still watching me wherever she is. She's watching me, and I hope she's proud of me what I'm doing, the work I'm doing.
Yeah, and keeping an eye on people around you that are grieving because maybe they don't have the strength. Because the thing is, so the good thing about this, what you've just said, is that all the things that your mum taught you, the strength that you've got from her, it stays with you. That's going to live on. You're here, she's with you via the strength. And you said the warm feeling and everything. You've got that. You've got all those memories and you've got her behavior that's literally living on within you. But there are also people that don't know how to cope with that grief and it gets overwhelming and they might not have the mechanisms in place. And it's just also keeping an eye on, just the people around you and making sure that they don't slip down that really dark.
That's the same as anything with mental health or anything really with well-being and mental health. You always need to check in on people. And if you're serious about well-being and mental health, you've got to check in on people. We all spend 10, 20, 30 minutes a day doom scrolling on your mobile phone or Instagram or whatever you look at. But we haven't got 5 minutes, 10 minutes to ring your best mate. And most of the sometimes you know somebody's going through something, whether it could be a terminal illness, loss of job, separation. Just check in on that person. It takes 2 minutes to pick up the phone or even text somebody to say, how are you feeling? I haven't heard of you in a while. Is everything okay? And that simple text can be the difference between them taking their own life or not. And I know that might sound a bit harsh, but it's true. It's true. That person will be sat in their house, isolated, feeling lonely, nobody around them for days sometimes. And that text will be the first time anybody's spoken to them for days or weeks sometimes. And that could be the difference between them taking their own life or not. And it's as simple as that. Just checking on people that care, people you care about, loved ones, work colleagues. Just check in on them. A simple text, even. Just check in, okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna, I wasn't planning to say this, but I had a personal trainer that I worked with for a few years actually, and he had some, he was suffering from some mental health issues or whatever, but he was actually also a tougher rugby guy, sporting background, and then he had an injury. And it's like you saying, you were talking about the grief of your identity, that bit's now gone and you can't do all the sport and not on the level that you wanted to do. And suddenly you're stripped of this identity. And he found that really hard, And during COVID, when everyone was sort of cut off and he wasn't able to see he was seeing a counselor, like a therapy person, someone that he could talk to regularly in person that could help him. And that was all cut off. And he did reach out with a message saying, I'm finding it quite tough, this whole COVID thing. And it's like, oh, yeah, it's tough. Hopefully we'll get back to things soon. Yeah. He never got back to things soon, unfortunately. And that haunts me. I sort of think, it's like you're saying, that message when someone's, it's a cry for help, isn't it?
A lot of the time, see, when someone tries to take their own life, most of the time, they don't mean to take their own life. They're just a cry for help a lot of the time. And it's like people, like you said earlier on, they lose their identity. And people in the forces, for example, they've been institutionalized for 20, 30 years. They come out to the forces and they can't deal with life. And sports people, anybody who's been in a career a long time, the policeman, fireman, all of a sudden they lose their identity and they really struggle with that. And also, I know people say you don't know what's going on behind closed doors. Sometimes the people with the biggest smiles on their faces, the nicest houses or the nicest cars, are struggling the most. I lots of CEOs, for example, who are, it's a high pressure job. Again, people at the top can be quite lonely. Who do they talk to? They work in hours, stressed, they got 100, 300, 200 people to look after. And it's a high pressure job, and you've got these nice salaries, nice jobs, you get used to a certain standard of living, and so you can't really take a step back. And sometimes then there's so much pressure on them. The only way out they think is take their own life, unfortunately. I know lots of people in the last year, a few people who've earning great salaries in London, for example, earning six figures, married, children, good job, good car, the wife isn't working or whatever. So there's so pressure, they're so scared to tell their wives or whatever the truth.
Yeah.
They can't go back, or they can't, they have a certain lifestyle, dinners all the time, holidays. They're scared to tell people the truth. I know people in their 40s have taken their own life over the last 2 years. The last year, on the outside, it looks like they've got a perfect life. But it's that high pressure job at the top in London, earning money. And they can't see a way out, and that's the only way out is their own life, which is sad, really.
It's the pressures are real. And so basically, I would actually say that almost everyone virtually listening to this podcast is going to be dealing with something, feeling a bit stuck, maybe feeling a bit broken, or worrying about someone really close to them feeling stuck or broken. So based on, I mean, we've spoken a lot about all of this, and I thank you so much for coming on the podcast and sharing your story with us. What would you tell these people? How would you advise them what to do next? You know, for anyone's feeling a bit lost.
Oh, it's a big question.
Yeah.
I know it sounds easy. I'm going to sit here and say it's easy because it took me 15 years to talk to someone. But I say, one thing I say to people, please talk and open up to someone. It hasn't got to be professional. It could be a work colleague, a friend, a family. I bottled my feelings up for many, many years and made myself ill. I thought as a man I couldn't open up and talk. Women as well, women in high pressure jobs, successful women, they probably find it hard to talk as well. But the people around you will think exactly the same as you. They won't judge you or treat you any differently. If I found out my best mate was struggling or took his own life, for example, he couldn't come and talk. I feel terrible that he couldn't come and talk to me. When we want to talk, you think people will judge us differently. They won't. I said, just be brave, be courageous, take that first step and talk to somebody. Don't bottle things up, because when you bottle things up, it spirals. I'm a huge believer in prevention's better than cure. When we're in this country, we're very reactive, we're not very proactive. When somebody tries to take their own life, we'll help them. When somebody's obese, we'll give them an injection. It's mad. I say no. Give people the tools or the education months or years before it, stop it getting that far. Like we're in schools, why do we teach our children about APR percentages? So when they leave school, they know if they borrow money, it's going to cost them X amount of pounds. Why do we teach them about calories in, calories out? So if they eat more calories than they need, they're going to put weight on. Why do we teach them about how to regulate their feelings and emotions? I'm not saying teach them to be counsellors or therapists, but give them a basic understanding of their emotions. For the moment, this country is spending millions of pounds or billions of pounds on obesity. Suicides are going up, and debt is costing the country billions of pounds. So why do we teach the people them three things, life skills, rather than teaching them about Pythagoras' theorem or King Harold in 1066? Why do we teach them about life skills that they can actually use when they leave school? I'm not knocking school, but the curriculum is 100 years out of date, for example. It needs updating to real life now, to be honest with you. But I say, please speak to someone and talk to someone if you're struggling with anything at all, no matter how big or small it is, please talk to somebody. That's the big tip I can give you.
I love that, and I feel like it brings us right back to the first question which I had about your walking or not being able to walk and you having taken that first step. And that's really the lesson to anyone suffering and going through anything. Take that step, have that conversation, one step at a time. Andrew, it's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.